Hello and welcome back to the channel. And in today's episode, we are going to be adding spells to our game as it was requested in one of the comments. I decided to I did not create like a special kind of shots. You can still shot as you did in the previous tutorial, but we have some spells that you can trigger and you can switch between those. And you have like a freezing spell that will slow down your enemy. We have like a poison spell that will do damage, but also do damage over time, as you can see. And also we have a fireball, and if you hit the fireball, it's gonna make the given enemy burning, and if it collides with other enemy, it will also do damage to that enemy. So maybe I can show you that. I hit Vlad, he's burning. Okay, this is true, but basically he's burning, and if he gets collided with another enemy, the other enemy will also get damaged. And so this is like per request video. You can see in the comments in the previous video that this specifically was requested. So yeah, let me show you how this can be achieved within Godot. So we will be starting where we left off the last time. One thing that I'm going to do is to, as you can hear, the music is pretty loud, so I'm just gonna clear the stream for the audio stream player so it doesn't give us any music and disturb us. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to bring new assets. These are of course license free from itch.io, and let me see. Let's bring that to assets folder, and here you can see the spells. We have the fire effect, the ice effect, and the poison effect, and you can basically add any that you need. We'll start by building the UI for that, but let me first start by going to project settings, auto load, and I'm going to add new enums node, and let's put that in scripts, and we'll use that to define the global enums. Basically this will be used to define the spells that we have, or the abilities. So enum spell type, this is going to be ice, fire, and poison. Okay, and we will start by going to our UI node, and I would like to define those wonderful, beautiful nodes for our spells. So let's start by adding hbox container. And I'm going to put this here, just fine. Let's call this spells container, and I will add panels. We need 3 of those, and this is going to be the ice panel. Then we have the fire panel, and we have the poison panel. Okay, and I will make it stick to the bottom, so here, and to the left. And going to my margin container, I will change the margin bottom to push the spells panel from the bottom. So going to theme overrides, I'm going to go margin bottom, change it to 48. And then for each spells container, Let's put it at the bottom and here. We need Powbox container, so let's add this. Powbox container. We need a progress bar, which is outside of the VBox container, and inside the VBox container we need a label, and we need a texture rect. Okay, so let's handle the eyes panel first. Let's bring the texture here. Do we have any? Yes, each panel should have the size defined as 60 by 60. Then the texture, let's see, the VBox container should take all of the available space. Then the texture itself, it should keep size and scale. This is fine. It looks kind of weird. Oh, for the progress bar, let's remove show percentage. Then for the label, I'm just gonna say a number and put it at the center and at the center. And then I'm not sure why this isn't scaling properly. This is correct. This doesn't matter. Oh, this should also cover the whole available space. This is correct. And then for texture rect, do I have to define the custom minimum size? I believe so. So this is 50 by, oops, can I define it? Yes, 50 by 20. Okay, now it looks good. Okay, so basically what we could do, since all of this is set up in an eyes panel, I can get rid of that and I will just duplicate this and change the stuff that I need to change. So that's gonna be the fire panel, and that's gonna be the poison panel, and then that will have the label set to 2, and this one will have the label set to 3. Okay, and then we'll change the textures, so that should be fire effect. Oops, fire effect. And I believe the size for this is 20 by 20. Or is it? No, sorry, 30 by 30. Okay, and then for the poison, we have the poison effect. Oops, not that. Poison effect, and this is also 30 by 30. Or is it? Let me check. Yes, it is. It looks kind of weird. $30 by 30. And this one is keep size, scale, maybe keep centered, keep aspect, and then can I just, okay, this is looking better. So let's go also here and let's keep aspect. And let's make it centered. Okay, I believe this is fine. So we have that. Then I will give a unique name to each of progress bars, because Our spells, each of our spells will have timeout, like you will have to wait before using it again, right? And you will see that the progress bar is going to be configured so that, oops, that it just fills up within time, informing us about the timeout, right? And when it runs all the way through, then we know that we can use the spell again. Okay, so this is the ice progress bar. This is fire progress bar, and this is poison progress bar. Okay, and we have to configure this. So let's click on each, because they have the same configuration from 0 to 100. This is all right. Step is 1. We change it from bottom to top. And what we need is, I believe, the color. So let's go to theme override, styles, background, and fill. So this is new sidebox flat, and this is new sidebox flat. And let's see, this is basically transparent. So let's bring this all the way down. When it comes to alpha channel, this one, the fill, on the other hand, is gonna be slightly transparent red. So the values that I'm using here are, let me just copy that hex, and can I apply this? Oops. Okay, let's just find something reddish. Okay, and let's bring the alpha down to somewhere like 104 or 5. That's gonna be fine. Now you will see that if I provide a value of 50 here, this is like half filled. Okay, so this is cool. Now the next step that we have to add is, I would like to basically be able to tell which spell is currently selected, because by pressing 1 to 3 you can change your selection. And to do that, we will have to go to the panel, and we will need to create new theme. And I'm going to save this. Let's create new folder for this themes. I'm going to tell that this is spell selection dot theme. Okay, so it can be reused. And now we will start working on those. So what I need is I need a new type. Going to choose nothing here. I'm going to call the spell selected type. Going back to the configuration here, the wrench tool, I'm going to choose the base type to be panel, because it has to be the same as my node. So I have this, and then I will add new types. One is for the panel, which is new sidebox flat, and then selected, which is going to be added to, and it's going to be new sidebox flat. Okay, and then let me see, I will need to create new sidebox. So let's save this. and this is going to be style box. We can save this in theme, and I'm going to call this selected spell. And what we need here is we need to set the border width to be 1. Doing background color here, we can leave it as black. It's okay. And then we need the border, and the border will have just a red color. So we can just do this probably, and that should be fine. So basically when this is selected, it should have like this red border. So I can leave that as it is. And here I can reuse that. So not panel selected, but selected spell. Okay, and that should be, well, it should be the style box, but it should work nevertheless. Okay, with that done, there's another part that we need to do, which is, let me see, we will need to change where our boss health and name is located, because currently it's not going to be visible very well. So let's see. I can bring it to the bottom very easily. Right now they are here, and I need to be able to put them a little bit lower. So let's add another margin container. Let's move those values here, and let me see, they're here now, and I want them at the bottom. Oh no, sorry, I want them here at the bottom and spread. And I believe that should be okay, but the boss name, the wave counter, can stay at the top. Okay, so that's how our UI should look like. UI elements, let's see, assets. Oh, there's a problem with the product because I changed the location and Godot might got a little bit confused. That's because I accidentally dragged the folder. Let me restart the Godot to fix this. My bad, the problem was that I dragged the folders around, but let's see, UI elements, it should just work, right? Live, okay, how about now? Yeah, we're good. Okay, and now you can see that we have those elements in place, and of course we need to hide our margin container. Cool, I believe this is the right time for us to start coding the UI, but since that episode is pretty long, I'll do that in the next section. Okay, for the UI programming, we don't really need much, but we need a little bit. So let's create onReady array of the spell containers. And what we need is the reference to all the panels. So let's bring those. Okay, and already I would like to have the first one selected. So let's see whether our setup for the panel selection works. So onReady spells containers, Let's select the first one as panel. Now let's try and set the theme type variation to spell selected. Let's see whether that works. And it does. We have that wonderful border, and we can see that the background is full black. Cool. Then let's get an array of progress bars. And what we can do is give them unique access. So access as a unique name. So the path will be shorter. We can bring those. Ice, fire, poison. Okay, and we need a little bit of coding. So first thing, on spell selected. So what should happen when somebody selects a spell? For I in spell container size, we can do if spell number -1 is equal to I, we can say spell containers at I as panel. This is just to be able to select and deselect the spell panels in the UI. Else we'll reset the theme type variation. And set it to nothing. Okay. Another function we need is for us to visualize the timeout of the spell with the progress bar, and this can be achieved rather easily with a twin. So start spell timeout, spell index is int, timeout is float. You can say twin, get 3, create twin, twin property, spell progress bars at spell index value 100 and with the timeout, and then we need to do a callback, and the callback will just reset the progress bar back to 0. So reset progress bar, oops, we'll pass here a progress bar, and we will set it back to 0. So how can we call this as a twin callback? It takes a callable, which is like a reference to a function, but how to pass it and also bind the proper argument here? Well, definitely we cannot do this like that, because this isn't a callable, it's a function call. We're calling this function and not passing the reference. But what you can do is use the bind method, and it will take that function and set any argument for the function as passed to the argument to a bar, but it is not going to call the function. That should be spell index, of course. It will not call a function, but rather create a new function, right? So this code creates a new function with all of the arguments that we need set, in this case just one progress bar, and it's not calling it, but just creating a reference. So this is pretty cool. So this is pretty much everything that we need for the UI when it comes to programming. And I believe that in the next section we will work on switching between our spells. This section will start on working on our spells, and let's start by creating a spell configuration. So I love to use the resources. That's why we can use those also for our spells. So let's go to scripts. Let's create new script, and I will call this spell config. And let's open it up. Spell config. Okay. It will extend the resource, and we will have few configuration parts here. So speed, which is a float. We will have texture. I will have the collision shape. We'll have the refresh time. We will have a type. We will have spell effect duration. So, for example, if you hit somebody with the ice spell, for how long given enemy should be slowed down. Okay, and the damage. Perfect. And with that, we can actually create the configurations for our spells. So let's go to resources. Let's see. Let's create new folder. Spells. And let's start working on resources. So that one's going to be fire. And then we can just duplicate this and call this ice. And duplicate this and call this poison. Okay. Let's select all three. Let's attach a script. It's going to be spell config. And let's start working on those. So you can use any values. These are just the values I used. So 200 texture. Let's quick load, and that should be a fire effect. Collision shape. I have those predefined. So let's create new one. And the size is 45 and 200. Refresh time is 3 seconds. Type is fire. The effect duration can be 2 seconds, and damage is 3. Okay. For the next one, let's also quick load. Spell config. Let's see, ice 300. Ice effect, collision shape. Let's do new collision shape, and this is 83 by 20. Refresh time is 4. Type is ice. Effect duration is 2, and damage is 2. Then poison. Let's see. Oh, this is spell config, of course. Speed is 350. Texture, poison effect, collision shape 39 by 38. Refresh time is 5. Poison effect duration is 2 and 1. And we have our spell configuration in places. So in the next section, we'll start working on our spell system so that our spells can be casted. Yep. Let's get that spell system going. So we will move to player node. And we'll actually add a new node to D. We'll call this spell system. And let's place it somewhere that actually makes sense. So probably our spells should go from somewhere around here. Let's add a script. Put it in scripts folder. And let's see what we need. Class name, as always. Spell system. Signals that we need for our UI and everything else. Spell selected, which has a spell index. And signal for spell casted. And it provides spell index and a timeout. And we will need a spell scene here. So let's create one. Let's see. Scene, new scene. The root's going to be area 2D. We'll call that spell. We will need, let me think, sprite 2D, of course. We'll need collision shape 2D. And we will need a visible on-screen notifier. And let's save this in scenes. Okay, so let's first code that one. We will need a script. Again, scripts folder. And let's start scripting. So we have class name, spell. Let's get references to the stuff that we need, which is going to be sprite 2D and collision shape. And just to get rid of that wording, we can add like any collision shape. Sorry, inspector. Okay, let's just add any just to suppress that warning. It doesn't really matter. Let's see, we're not going to need much here. We'll need function ready, and here we'll just read from the config that will be provided. So that's going to be config texture. The collision shape to the shape is going to be config collision shape damage, because we'll need stuff like we need damage, we'll need the type, and we will need speed, and we will need effect duration. Okay, damage is equal to config damage. Sprite is of course a sprite 2D. Identifier config is not available. Okay, we will also need the config to read from it. Cool. Effect duration also comes from config, and the type as well. Okay, now for the movement, that's gonna be the standard movement, so nothing new to see here. We'll just get the speed and multiply this by delta. And also what we will need is the signal from on-screen notifier, which we'll use to QE3. Perfect. Now let's go back to project settings and go to 2D physics, and let's add another layer which is called spell. And here in the collision, this is a spell and it can interact with enemies. Okay. Also, since we are setting this up, let's go to enemy and make sure to make the spell collision available here, and also in case of blood boss. Okay. With that, we can go back to our player, to the spell system, and we can start working on that. So what we need is the reference to a spell scene. So we can just go to file system and find a spell and drag and drop this. And I'm going to make sure to name it spell scene. And I tend to do this just to differentiate between the spell, like the instantiated spell, and the scene, which is just like a blueprint. Then what we need is spell configs. So I can just say spell configs. You can just preload ice, preload fire, and preload poison. Okay. The next thing is what we need is a structure that will describe and we'll use that structure to manage the timeouts of given spell and casting. So for each spell we need the information how much time went by from the previous cast and whether we currently can cast given spell. So I will just create a nested dictionary where the keys, first set of keys, is the name of the spell, and then each has a time which went by since the last cast, and a simple flag stating whether we can cast this spell. Okay, and I can just grab this, copy it 2 times, and change this to fire and poison. Okay, and I can just track the currently selected current spell type, so which one is selected to be casted. And we start with ice. Then function ready. Let's see. Doing function ready? Not really, no. What we need is the input event, and we need to set up additional actions. Let's see. Selected spell 1, selected spell 2, selected spell 3, cast spell, and that's going to be 1, 2, 3, and control. We'll use control to cast the spells, and then we can code it out. So input is action just pressed, selected spell 1, we'll do spell selected emit 1, else if basically we can copy this like 3 times and just change the numbers here, 2 and 2, 3 and 3, and then I'll see if input is action just pressed, cast spell, and we'll just do on spell, cast it. And we'll just, for now, on spell cast it. We will simply pass for now. Also, what we will do is we'll create another function called on spell selected, where we will pass the spell index. Actually, we might be smart and just say spell selected emit. That's gonna be better even, I think. Spell index, and we can say current spell type is equal to enums spell type values spell index -1. Okay, so we'll be using that enum to also store the properly selected spell. So here I can replace all of this with on spell selected 1 2 3. Cool. So basically when we select given spell, we should update our UI right now. So in our castle level, let's see how this can be set up. I can press right here and choose editable children. And can I connect to... No, I cannot connect to that signal. That's a bummer. But that's not a problem. Let's deselect that. So going back to our player, to the player script, we'll need the reference to our spell system. This is fine. And then on ready, I will say spell system spell. Very nice to have the autocomplete. Spell selected, connect on spell selected, and then spell system spell casted, connect to on spell casted, and we need to re-emit the signal so that our UI can be informed about this. So let's create spell selected spell index int and spell casted spell index int timeout float. Okay, and we can connect to these and they will just remit the signal. So let's go here at the bottom and let's say on spell cassette spell index int timeout timeout load, sorry, say spell selected emit, so we're just re-emitting here spell index and timeout. And on spell, sorry, this is wrong. Spell casted. Yeah, I did not sleep well this night and I need a nap. But let's power through. Spell selected. This takes spell index and the spell selected emit spell index. Perfect. So we have this set up. And with this done, we can just go to our castle level, to our level manager, and then we can connect everything. So here, player, spell selected, we will do connect UI on spell. It would also be cool to get autocomplete, so let's cast it on spell selected. Remember, we're passing a reference here, not a function call. Player spell casted connect UI start spell timeout. Okay, for now this second function is not going to work, but let's see where we can select our spells. And it's not working properly yet. Okay, see, we have some errors. This is because we changed the references here. So this is margin container 2. Okay, that should get rid of the errors. Wave counter. Let's see. Oh, that's this is the correct version. Okay, and we can deselect that, but it's not getting selected. So I think the problem is that we did not apply the theme. Yeah, we did not apply the theme to the fire and poison panel. So let's try now. One. Okay, still not working. Let's see. It all looks good. Let's see where our function is getting called. So I can just say, I can just place a debugger here. Pressing 2, spell number is 2. Okay. And then spell number is 3. So this is getting called. Let's take a look at the spell container. It has array size of 3. So this also looks correct. Of course, this is a stupid typo. I set the theme type variation to spell containers. Instead, it should be spell selected. Again, guys, get your beauty sleep before programming. So now, yeah, it all works perfectly. Okay, so we have that done, and in the next section we can actually work on the spell casting feature. Let's get to the spell casting actually. And so let's go to our spell system script. And let's see what we should do on spell casted. So we need to get current spell key, which is like the enum key as a string, so that we can compare the enum like this with the keys we set up in our timers. Okay, so I'm gonna write simple helper function, get current spell key, and it can be obtained from an enum as spell type keys at current spell type, and then this is going to get our enum key as a string, but we need to change it from the uppercase to a snake case. So I can just call to snake case, and I can now obtain it as get current spell key. Let's first check whether we can actually cast it. So current spell key, and now I'm reading from that dictionary by this key. Let's check if can cast can cast is it equal to false? If so, we just return. Else we do instantiation. Spellsyn instantiate. We provide the global position to be the spell system global position, and as you remember, this is node 2D, and we place it right here at the top of the hand. Then I can call get tree root at child spell. Oh, and we of course need to provide the config, right? And this is spell config current spell type. We need to start a timer for our current spell type, and current spell type. There was a typo here, which is a function we'll write on our own, and then we can say spell casted emit current spell type, and we need to provide the refresh time for the spell, which is stored in spell configs current spell type refresh time. Okay, that's going to work, but we need to manage our timers for timeouts of the spells. So start timer, it basically, do we need that current spell type? I'm thinking, actually I don't think we do. So let's just call this start timer. What we can do is write it like this: timers at get current spell key can cast is equal to false. Okay, so this should be working. And then we need to manage these timers in a process. We'll not use a timer like a node timer. You can write this also by using process function because you are provided with a delta time. So we'll write a loop, and we need a counter for timer key in timers. Let's check if timers at timer key can cast is set to false. If it is, then timers at timer key time, we will add that time to a delta. Let's see, we don't need that. And we can print then that. Okay, so if it's disabled right now, we're adding a delta to our time here. And then we'll compare that time with the refresh time. So if timers at timer key time is greater or equal spell configs at I refresh time, then timers at timer key at can cast is equal to true, and timers, we need to reset the time of course, at timer key time is equal to 0. And then we implement the counter because we need it for the spell configs. Yeah, that basically should work, I hope. So let's see. Let's try and cast this. Okay. We don't need texture filter. We need a texture here. Try this again. This should be, of course, a function call. Let's try this again. And we are not assigning a speed. Okay. And that's almost all. Yeah, you can see this is working pretty good, but there are some problems. Like, okay. First thing, going to our progress bars. Let's select all of them. And I know why this is 2 times here. Let's set the value to 0. Okay, that's first problem. And now I can see it filling up and it resets, but our spells don't go anywhere. So let's see what's going on. We have the instantiation here. So the spell itself, it feels like the position is off for any reason. Be right here, and then it feels like it's not going forward. So in the spell itself, let's just see what the speed is. Speed. Okay, casting this, there is a speed. Let's see, let's switch to remote. There is a spell, but it does not change the position. Speed times delta. Let's see here. Is the value too low? Speed times delta. I'm sure I'm making some kind of stupid mistake. It says 5 every single time. Oh, of course. Now it looks like it's working. The only problem I can see that our spells seem to be very small. And I forgot about the scale that we apply everywhere. So go to transform. And now they have a proper scale. And if I press I spell and it's, as you can see, it's during the timeout, I cannot cast it again until the refresh time runs out. So we have that cool refresh feature. Perfect. So what to do in the next section is to actually make our spells work on our enemies. And yeah, we'll do just that. To make our games make sense with those spells, we need to change our enemy a little bit. So, for example, we'll need to add a health system for it and visualize it. Let's start by actually adding the health system. So let's see, health system. Yeah, here it is. And then we need to go to our config for the enemy. So scripts, enemy config, and I will extend it by adding the health. So export var health. Okay, cool. And then for each I can, oh, and we could also add stuff like speed here while we are at it. So let's go here and let's see what values did I use. Oh, and also we could add export var projectile speed to make it vary some more. So health for speed 200, projectile speed 350. For the mummy we have projectile speed 200, speed 100, and health set to 6. And for the skeleton we have projectile speed 400, speed 3 to 5, and health set to 5. And again, these are just this is just an example values. You can mix and match it as you will. Okay, going back to our enemy. Let's see. We will need to extend our init here. So health system, oops, we need a reference for that. Okay, health system, health is equal to config health, then speed is set to config speed. What else do we need? Speed. Oh, we added the projectile speed. So let's see. Shooting system. See what we have here. We could do projectile speed and say projectile speed is equal to projectile speed. And let's make sure in our shooting system that this is in our projectile that this is actually used. So this is horizontal speed. I'm just gonna change this to speed. And then we should be good. Okay, going back to name projectile. Okay, so we passed everything here. We'll also need to add a simple progress bar. So let's go here. That's what we'll use to visualize our health. Let's bring it here. Let's see about configuring that. That doesn't matter. We move from beginning to end. What matters actually is the size. So here in transform we have a size, and I set this to 550 and 10, and the position is -3 of 46 and -81. Okay, and then we need to do the overrides. So theme overrides, stars, background, and feel. For the background, we'll go all the way black. For the feel, we'll do like red-ish color. Let's see how that looks like. And this is okay. Cool. Going back to the enemy, let's grab the reference to a progress bar. And let's set it up. So progress bar max value is equal to config health, and progress bar value is equal to config health. Okay. Sorry. Let's go to undamaged because we need that. So health system. And I would like to have autocomplete here. Damaged, connect on damaged. Health system died, connect on died. Okay, and then let's see. On damaged, progress bar value is equal to health system health, and on died, we'll just write a function here, and we'll also need to change that. So on died, basically we grab all of this, okay. Then on sound finished, only if our health system health is less than or equal 0, we do QE3. And I'm thinking that damage taken can be a float right now, or it should be a float really. Okay, and that's pretty much it. So we need to move forward. So here we'll say if we are hit by projectile, because do health system damage 1 and then area QE free. But let's see where we can be actually damaged by the spell. So if area is spell, of course we need to do QE free. Okay, let's see whether our spell can damage the enemy. And I see that it does, but we need to apply the damage and all. So let's grab the spell type, and this can be obtained via area as spell type. Damage is area as spell damage. Health system damage. And let's try this again. Okay, and yeah, we do the damage. Let's restart. Yeah, perfect. So the last thing for us to do, or maybe not the last thing, but the next important thing for us to do, is to write a spell effector scripts which will apply the different spell effects based on the type of the spell. And we will do that in the next section. Okay, so it is time to add the spell effector node to our enemies so that they can be actually affected by a spell. So let's go to enemy and add an empty node called the spell effector. And let's go to scripts, change the name to combo case, or don't, it's up to you. And let's start by adding the class name, spell effector, and we'll need some references here. So we need the reference to a health system, and we need the reference to animated sprite. And also we'll need a timer here, and I will call this spell timer, and make sure to make it one shot. Okay, let's do some configuration here. So we need poison damage tick, so this is 0.25 poison, because poison will do the damage over time. Damage tick timer. We need reference to current spell effect. We need the information about the status of our effect. So are we burning or are we poisoned? And we'll also need a reference to a twin that we will create. Okay. The most important function that we need to write at the very start is on spell hit, and we'll get here spell type, which is going to be enum spell type, and effect duration, which is going to be float. Okay, so first we need to check if our spell timer is not running already, because you can't have two effects at the very same time. Is stopped spell. Do we have a reference to that? No. Okay, let's grab this. Then spell timer stop, and there might be a case when we need to reset the spell effects. For example, if you're currently poisoned and you're hit by the ice, spell, you're now slowed instead of poisoned. So let's write that function. And we will need to do a few things here. So check. If current spell effect is equal to enum's spell type ice, we'll change the parent speed. We'll bring back the speed up to the level because we were slowed down. If current spell effect is equal to fire, is burning false. If current spell effect spell type is poison, we will reset the poison to false. We'll reset the poison damage tick timer to 0. We'll remove current spell effect. And if we have a color twin running, we'll call color twin kill and color twin null, and it will all start to make sense when we add the spell effects. So reset spell effects, we have that going. Then we will do current spell effect is equal to spell type, and we will run color twin with current spell effect and effect duration. So now we'd like to have some visual confirmation that the enemy is under effect of a spell. So we'll do that by just changing the modulate value of animated sprite to D. So let's write that function. Run color with current spell effect and effect duration. Okay, and I can just say, oops, color match current spell effect if it's fire, then the color is color orange red. If it's ice, the color is color aqua, and if it's poison, then we will use dark green. And then I can say color twin equal to get tree, create twin, color twin property of animated sprite to D. That's why we need the reference. Modulate color, and let's take 0.25 as a duration, and then we need to bring it back to white, so it's just like pulsing in and out. Chain twin property, basically you can just copy paste it because it's all the same. but change the color to color white to bring it back to the original color. And then we need, since we would like to have that pulse effect, we need to set the amount of loops that it should do. So how many times it should repeat. So color twin set loops, and that's effect duration divided by 0.5, because we have 0.25 here and 0.25 here, so one pulse altogether is this plus this, so 0.5. Perfect. So that's our run color twin. Let's see whether this actually works. So but to make it work we need to call it. So in enemy we need the reference to a spell effector. Oops, let's bring it here. And then we need to use it. So in our own area enter, area is spell. Let's see, we need spell type, we need effect duration. So effect duration is area spell effect duration, and I can say spell effector on spell hit with spell type and effect duration. See where that works. So I'm trying to hit our enemy and make it pulse in blue. Okay, come on. And he's pulsing and it should stop. Perfect. Then if I use poison. Okay, yeah, he's pulsing. Okay, so we have the color twin set up. Now it's a time to finally handle the effect. Let me see. Going to spell effector on spell hit. Let's decide what should happen on each spell type. So this is the easiest one with the enum spell type ice. We just go to get parent speed and divide the speed by 2. If a spell type is equal to enum's spell type poison, we said is poisoned to true. If spell type is equal to enum's spell type fire, we say is burning is equal to true. Spell timer wait time is equal to effect duration, and we call spell timer start. And we need to connect to a timeout. Make sure to connect it on a spell effector node, and here we just reset spell effects. Okay, and then we handled the ice. Now let's handle the poison. So we'll again time it out in a process delta. So if current spell effect is equal to enum's spell type poison, poison damage tick timer, this plus equals delta. If poison damage tick timer is greater or equal poison damage tick. Expected. Oh, sorry for that. Okay. So we'll reset poison damage tick timer to 0. And if health is greater than 0, we call health system damage 0.25. And also store this maybe every 5.5 seconds, and let's store poison damage and set 0.25. So no magic numbers, please. Poison damage. Okay, so this is our ice and poison setup. Let's see how it is working. Okay, and you're slowed down right now and your speed is back up. Okay, let's see for the poison. Oh, poison damages. Should be poison damage. Try this again. A little typo. And emit invalid operators kneel and float. Poison damage tick timer. It should be 0, of course. Let's try this again. And yeah, it takes the damage over time. Let's try this again. Yeah. Perfect. So we have that damage over time with a poison, and we need to handle the fire. And to do that, we need to enable the ability for the enemy to collide with the enemy. And if it does happen, we can go to on area enter and do something like if area is enemy and spell effector is burning, will damage the other enemy that collided with us. That's pretty cool. And to test this, we need to actually go to our wave spawner and spawn like a lot of enemies. And let's make them spawn earlier, and let's test our fire spell. So I will make one of the enemies burn and see what happens when the other one collides with it. Let's spawn a lot of them. And yeah, if he's burning, you can see that he's damating the other enemies. Cool. Perfect. So we have that done. What else are we missing? We pretty much have everything covered, but I would like to also make it work for the Vlad. And this is as simple as adding a spell effector. The problem is that we also need to add that timer here. So instead, let's go here, save branch as scene. Now it is its own scene, and I can just instantiate spell effector here. Do I need to change anything? Oh, probably in the enemy. There's one thing that I would like to change. So enemy, let's see. On damage. Oh, we need to play the F, right? So spell effector. If it's not poisoned, I can do audio stream player play. Okay. Then let's check on diet. Here also we should play that. Make the effects work. Okay, let's bring that back to 0 and let's test the Vlad. Okay, so I can slow you down. Okay, now I can see that the information about the health is missing. So go back to our UI and let's see, this is disabled. So on Vlad died, change bus, envoy started, set initial health. And this is not visible, so let's no, let's grab margin container 2. Let's call this boss info container. And when we set it up here, let's make this visible. Okay, let's try this again. Slow down. Okay, and okay, this is a little bit too much, and okay, this is a little bit too much. So let's go to UI. Let's try and fix this. So first thing, theme overrides, margin left, margin right. Let's set this to 16 and 16. Let's make this visible. Okay, then the boss name. Can I? Oh, it's just a matter of changing the order of the nodes. And now we should be good. Let's try this again. Okay, I can see a margin here. I'm not seeing the one on the right. Let's try this again because I added margin top. Okay, let's try this again. Let's poison him. Okay. I'm not sure whether the poison is working for the Vlad. So first thing, let's make sure that sticks to the bottom. Let's see. Vlad boss with the... Oh, I know what might be incorrect. In that case, there's a health system. Damage, died, emit, UI, and this change boss health bar should be set. Change the float, and this should make our poison work. Okay, let's try this. I'm not sure. Let's see. And maybe if we go to the resources, spells, poison, we can change the effect duration to like 5 seconds. So it's more visible. Okay. 19, so it only takes like the damage from the spell itself. So let's see. Spell effector, health system damage, poison. And I know what we did wrong, or what I did wrong. In the Vlad boss, we of course need to add the code for on area entered. Let's see. If it's blocking return, else if area is projectile, then do all of that stuff that you did. But then if area is spell, pretty much do the same thing we did for the enemy. So let's go to enemy script. Let's do all of this basically, and let's paste it here. Okay. And we need the reference to the spell effector. Let's try this again. Okay, and I'm trying to poison you. Okay, cool. Now you should be slowed down. Perfect. And you should be burning, but I'm just gonna assume this is working because I can see that he's not spawning. Oh, now we have a devil. And 2, okay. Oh, the fireball is slow. Okay, and here we have some kind of error when we try and restart, but it shouldn't matter. But yeah, basically I'm gonna just assume that the fireball is working, and this I assume is what you wanted. This is how you can add spells and different spell effect to our simple shooter game. I hope you will enjoy that, and yeah, I believe that the next video will be I'm gonna go back to recreating some good old arcade games. I would also like to dive more into 3D games, so yeah, there's a lot of interesting stuff in the future for us. See you guys. Bye bye.